Hello everyone, this is part 8 of What If Naruto and Hinata Run Away Together, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Tsunade-sama, here are the doents you requested. We didn't find much. Shizune placed a rather small pile of papers onto her superior's desk. She had been asked to find out something about this prophet that had made the prophecy Kana had tried to prevent from happening. Kana was currently under the guard of 2 Anbu. We also finished the investigation Kushina Uzumaki requested. No other traitors were found within the family or their servants. Tsunade nodded. Thank you, Shizune. Shizune bowed and left the room. Tsunade looked through the papers she had been given. Indeed, little had been found. The original words of the prophecy were there, along with the information that the original prophet was named Tanako and that this Tanako was a ninja monk of the Marken Monastery. She called Shizune back in. I want Naruto and Hinata in here later. Tell them it's for a special mission. Shizune bowed again and left. I'm glad you two came. How would you like some special training? Hiashi Hyuga offered his daughter and future son-in-law some tea. If you two accept, Hinata will be doing some beneficial training with Neji. As for you, Naruto-sama, I'll be doing yours. I found an interesting jutsu you might want to learn. It's a wind jutsu, but also a summoning jutsu. Naruto looked excited at this prospect. I take it that's a yes. That would be awesome, Hiashi-sama. Thank you. Hiashi led Naruto to one of the training courtyards while Neji led Hinata to another one. Naruto was barely keeping himself calm. Not only was he learning a new jutsu, he was going to learn a new jutsu. It was another summoning jutsu and a wind-natured jutsu. He felt like throwing his fist in the air along with a battle cry. But he didn't do that in front of Hiashi. But before I bring out the scroll, I'd like to spare with you. The only thing I don't want you using is weapons. Everything else you can use. Naruto nodded, taking his knuckle blades off his legs and setting them on the porch nearby along with his other weapons. This is a friendly match. But by all means use the jutsus you already know. Hiashi was expecting a lot from him. This was one of the few who had ever beat Neji in a match. Hiashi started the match by activating his Byakugan. He charged Naruto, meaning to hit him with the gentle fist fighting style. Naruto dodged every fist and made his chakra wrap around his fists. Naruto wasn't sure what counted as a weapon in the case of his Shuniji. Hiashi had failed to mention that. But Naruto did know that a Shuniji enhanced Rasengan wasn't a weapon in the sense Hiashi had been talking about. Not that he was planning on using that necessarily. Don't hold back, Naruto. I won't be holding back. Hiashi yelled as kept the fist flying. Naruto was very good defending against this style. He probably spared against Hinata a lot, who used the same fighting style as him. They continued their spar for another 20 minutes, Naruto working off all of his extra energy. Naruto managed to not take very many hits while managing to get 1 or 2 in on Hiashi, including one that was gotten by his suddenly getting into Hiashi's blind spot. Enough. Hiashi went inside and got the scroll with the jutsu on it. It was a big one, just like the one Jiraiya had Naruto sign with his own B. This scroll contains a special summoning jutsu. Ninpu, Meshike's Animaru. It summons wind animals. He unrolled it and Naruto saw only 2 people had learned the technique from this scroll. Only people with wind-natured chakra can learn this technique. There are other versions of this technique as well, for the other chakra types. Naruto knew what to do. He see his pointer finger and signed the scroll with his own B. Reading the instructions on the scroll, he made the necessary hand signs, while saying the 3 animals he wanted to be able to summon. Kitsune, fox, Gama, toad, Taka, hawk. Wind swirled around him and 3 animals appeared around him. 1 fox, 1 toad, and 1 hawk. Who summons us? The fox said, his voice having a echoey quality. The toad and hawk repeated this. Only the hawk sounded female, if they had a gender. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. The hawk flew around Naruto, sizing him up. This one has potential. The hawk settled onto Naruto's shoulder. The fox walked up casually and sniffed him. I see you have my ancestor in your body. Long ago, The nine-tailed fox was a peaceful creature. All the wind foxes are his descendants. The fox was silent for a moment. I approve of you as well. Next was the toad's turn. You have a pact with one of my kin. Gamabunter and I share the same ancestor. If he approves of you, so do I. So do you have names? The three animals were silent for a moment as they considered Naruto's question. The fox spoke again. I am Nero, red. My friend on your shoulder is Fury Damo, freedom. And the toad is Juto, jump. Whenever you summon us again, you may choose who you want to summon. Because of our wind nature, we can become invisible and all may travel through the air in one way or another. Now we must go. The animals turned back into wind, leaving two mystified people in the courtyard. That was interesting. Hiashi Hyuga observed dryly. Hiashi looked at the sun. It's almost noon. Would you like some lunch with us? In the middle of lunch, Shizune stopped by the Hyuga mansion. Sorry to interrupt the meal, Hiashi-sama, but Tsunade-sama needs to see Hinata and Naruto. It's a mission. The two mentioned got up. Naruto bowed to Hiashi. Thank you for the meal, Hiashi-sama. And the training. Hinata and Naruto left with Shizune and went with her to Tsunade's office. Shizune left. Tsunade looked up as they entered. Good. You're here. You two are to go to a mission. The reason Kana tried to kill Hinata is a prophecy made by a ninja monk named Tanako. We have located his original temple. His prophecies are still there. This is a research mission. Though still, watch out. You never know what to expect. His temple is in the large village of Shenshu. It's still standing and serves as the head temple. They're expecting people from Konoha soon. Naruto and Hinata looked at each other, unwillingly to believe that they were being allowed to go on a mission together. Is someone else going with us, Tsunade-sama? It's unusual. Hinata especially felt confused. Her father would never allow this. No, you two are to go alone. We trust you two to be alone and to come back in the same condition you left. Naruto, I was told to warn you to not do anything improper to Hinata. Naruto gulped. Tsunade Bar-chan, Hinata is not a prize to be won. We will conduct ourselves as shinobi of Konoha on this mission, not two love-struck young adults. Her honor will remain with her. Tsunade nodded in approval of his response. When do you want us to leave? Tomorrow. You're dismissed. Hinata and Naruto were about to leave the next morning when Jiraiya stopped them. He handed a bag to Naruto. I heard you were going on a boring research mission. If you get bored, read these. It'll give you pointers for your honeymoon. Naruto looked in the bag and turned a vivid shade of red. Jiraiya-sensei, how could you? I'm engaged now. If I was still single, I would love these. But I'm not. Naruto moved to hand the bag back. Jiraiya pushed it back at the blonde Chunin. Drop the sensei. When you got promoted to Chunin, we became equals, no longer student and teacher. Not that you could ever become as awesome as me. But you are an adult now. You can handle these. Right, lover boy. Jiraiya walked away laughing like a maniac. Naruto shoved the books in his bag and took Hinata's hand. Hinata, I promise you I will never read the books he gave me. I promise. Hinata looked very confused at his reaction. What kind of books are they, Naruto? Naruto fidgeted. Jiraiya is, as you know, a member of the Sannin. He's also a pervert who writes dirty adult novels. That's what he gave me. A full set of the books he's written so far. I will never read them though. I know you won't approve of them. Hinata laughed and kissed him on his cheek. Come on, Naruto. Let's go. Jiraiya heard Hinata say. He was waiting from the roof. The girl pulled Naruto to the gate, Naruto grinning like an idiot. He had done this on purpose. Their romance had inspired him. He was in the midst of writing a book. A book about a lowly orphan not knowing his heritage and falling in love with the princess of his country. The two main characters were modeled after these two. He was planning on ending the book suddenly finding out he was a prince, after defeating a roguish character intent on stealing the princess away. And this was an excellent chance for research. Naruto, admit it, were lost. She held the piece of paper with the directions to the monastery. According to them, we never should have left the road. We're in the forest area now. Naruto had to admit that she had a point. But there was nowhere to go for directions. But maybe. Wait, I may have a solution. He see himself and made the proper hand signs, praying that a certain friend would answer the call. His prayers were answered. The wind swirled around him and Fury Damo materialized before him. You summon me because you're lost. Very well. I will find the way to your destination. Fury Damo took to the sky. Hinata looked at her fiancé, clearly wanting an explanation. That's Fury Damo. I can summon wind foxes, toads, or hawks thanks to the jutsu your father taught me. He probably knew we were lost because the wind is everywhere. Naruto grinned. Fury Damo returned, a great whoosh of wind announcing his return. Naruto held out his arm for Fury Damo to land on, but Fury Damo instead landed in the trees. Get a hawking bracker first. It took great restraint not to see off the arm last time. My talons are razor sharp and can see limbs off in an instant. I have found the monastery you seek. Follow me. Fury Damo rose and began to lead the way. Hinata and Naruto barely kept up. Friendly. Quite a character we have here. Naruto grinned at Hinata's comment. Fury Damo left them when they reached the temple. A worried monk waited near the door. As they approached, he walked up to them relieved. My name is Taruho. I'm glad to see you arrive safely. Quarters have been prepared for you. We will help you find what you seek tomorrow. The monk didn't see Naruto's momentarily sad face. He was thinking of someone else named Taruho. A dear friend who he had thought of a brother. But that Taruho was S. He had S protecting his friend Shion, priestess of the demon country. Taruho woke the two Konoha shinobi up the following morning. Breakfast is this way. Please follow me. The two shinobi followed the monk to the eating area. It's probably not what you're used to. We lead a very different kind of life here. Hinata and Naruto accepted the humble meal of oatmeal and orange juice. Naruto of course wanted his usual breakfast when he could manage it, ramen. But his family rarely let him do that anymore. And if he and Hinata were to have kids someday, he needed to start getting into the habits of leading a better life so he could set good examples. Taruho, we're done over here. Could you please lead us to your library? Hinata put the dirty dishes together. Someone, probably an acolyte monk, took them and brought them to the kitchen so they could be washed in time for the next meal. Of course. Please follow me. They followed Taruho clear to the other side of the building. He opened a door and showed them into a very large room. If you need any help, the senior bookkeeper Ranma should be around here somewhere. Taruho left the room and left the two ninja alone. They were in a room that was filled with bookshelves. The few areas that weren't shelves were occupied by wooden tables. What scared Naruto even more was that most of the shelves were full of books and scrolls. He had never seen so much reading material in his life. Hinata. I think we'll need to find this Ranma fellow and ask where information about Tanako is. Hinata managed a nod, too awestruck by all the information in the room. But instead of being scared, she wanted to see just what all was in this vast collection of books and scrolls. Come on, we're still on a mission. Hinata caught up with Naruto, still stunned by all the books and scroll in the room. They wandered through the library until they saw an elderly man with graying hair. A small pair of glasses sat on the ridge of his nose. The two Konoha shinobi. I am Ranma, senior bookkeeper. In anticipation of your arrival, I have put together all the information that we have here on Tanako. Ranma pointed to a table near the center of the room. It was piled high with old scrolls and books. Please be careful with them though. Some of them are quite old. We will. Thank you for doing that. Hinata dragged Naruto to the table and they both sat down. 2 workspaces had been cleared and paper along with writing equipment were there. Let's get started. Naruto picked up an old scroll and unrolled it carefully. What exactly are we looking for? Naruto had a map in his hands that apparently documented his birthplace, along with this temple, where he had become a ninja monk. It also showed a record of his travels up until his death. Should we just write down anything of interest about this Tanako guy? Sometimes you amaze me, Naruto. A lot of people don't think you use your head outside of battle, but that's not true. I've known this all along. But still, I now have solid proof. Let's get started. Hinata picked up one of the scrolls and started to read. Naruto wasn't sure whether he had just been insulted or complimented. But he didn't really care. Hinata was smiling. And he dearly loved that smile. 3 years ago he wouldn't have seen that smile. 3 years ago he wasn't even aware of her feelings. Alright, let's get this over with. And with that said he started as well to read the mountain of scrolls before them that Ranma had put together. 5 hours later they had only gotten through a quarter of the material. Naruto had actually taken really good notes, notes that were concise and thorough. But he was starting to reach his limit. He had only recently become a thinker. Previously in his shinobi career, it had been all about power. Now, with his family's help, he had learned to use what power he had wisely. But it was around lunchtime as well. Hinata, noticing this, decided it was time for a break. Hey, Naruto, let's go grab some lunch and compare notes after. We're going to be here for a few days anyway. We have time. Naruto mentally cheered. It had gotten to the point where he was tempted to read the books Jiraiya had given him. Though Hinata would never find this out if it was up to him. Ranma smiled from his corner as the two left the work at the table. The two couldn't see him at his desk, due to the angle of a bookshelf near them. But he could see them perfectly. The two worked well together. Ranma was sure if Naruto was working with anyone else he would have lost his temper by now. Those two work well together. Don't they, Taruho? Taruho came out from his hiding place. He had been observing the couple from a distance. Ranma hadn't been fooled by this and had known where he was the entire time. But Taruho couldn't resist. Love and similar emotions intrigued him, as monks generally didn't fall in love. I should hope they're to be married soon. I wonder what fate holds in store for them. Ranma merely smiled wider. After a meal of rice soup, Naruto and Hinata returned to the library. But instead of resuming reading and taking notes, they talked quietly. Sataniko lived about 210 years ago. The prophecy that Kana thought we would make happen was made shortly before his death, having S during a mission 2 weeks after he made it. He was a fair and generous man. But he also was a high-ranking monk of the Marken style due to his gift of prophecy. Hinata finished reading off her notes. But that was not the only prophecy he made. He made hundreds of them, some of them coming true, some not. He said it himself. The gift of prophecy is not always reliable. What did you get from all of this? Naruto looked from the scrolls and books that he had gotten through. I got everything you just said. But I also got his autobiography. He picked up a book that was in good condition. I took a lot of notes about his life. Tsunade Bar-chan didn't tell us what she wanted us to find, so I'm trying to cover all of the bases. Hinata shook her head at Naruto's nickname for the 5th Hokage. We need to hit the books again now. The next break will be at dinner time. Naruto groaned at Hinata's words but got back to work anyway. He was still on a mission that had to be done. And it would go by faster if both did their share of the work. By dinner time they had gotten through over half of the material. The books and scrolls that they had gotten through had been put on another table and both had taken a lot of notes, some of which were written very haphazardly. What do you say we call it a day, Hinata? Hinata finished the scroll she was on before answering. Sounds good. They organized their notes and working area. Ranma and Taruho came over. Would you two like us to organize your notes for you so you can have a good copy to give to your Hokage? And we're going to leave these out until they leave. So don't pick 'em up. Ranma said, as Taruho was about to start picking up what they had already read. If you don't mind. She put their notes together and handed them to Ranma, who, they now noticed, used a walking stick. Ranma handed them to Taruho with the order to work on organizing them with the other acolytes. Taruho took them and walked away, joining a group of people, some near his age, some younger. We are here to help. Taruho is the oldest student who works in this library. In a few years, it'll be the usual time for me to retire from this library. I'll be leaving it in his hands. He's a very capable young man. Why do you look sad, Naruto? Ranma asked, confused. Hinata had noticed his sudden sad expression when they had first met Taruho when they had arrived. But she had forgotten to ask why. It's nothing. A while back on a mission, I met someone named Taruho. We became friends. But he's on that mission, protecting my other friend Shion. Hinata pulled Naruto up. Ranma walked back to his desk. Come on, Naruto. We'll eat dinner and work off some of this tension after by sparring in the training area. Many of the monks stood in the training area watching Naruto and Hinata spar. Both had taken all of their ninja gear off, including the weapons. The only thing they were using is their jutsus. The two young shinobi weren't holding back at all. Ranma joined them after they had started. Ranma, it's unusual to see you leave the library. Did you come to watch these two spar? One of the monks watching asked the elderly bookkeeper. Yes, I did. Did those two get in a fight or something? The other monk shook his head confused. Why do you ask that? Ranma pointed to Naruto and Hinata. Those two are engaged. I was wondering what would cause these two to suddenly fight like this. Many of the monks didn't suspect that the two were engaged. In fact, they wondered if it was true, considering how seriously they were sparring. Those two just wanted to spar. Apparently they do it all the time. I've heard about some of Naruto's techniques. I really hope he doesn't use some of them in this room. They almost always cause physical damage to the area he's fighting in when he uses them. Many of the monks were familiar with Naruto. His story had gone around the other ninja villages and the ninja monk monasteries. Just then the match ended with it a stalemate. Both were trapped by the other and could do no more. Naruto's fist was half an inch from Hinata's face. But one of her hands kept his fist from touching her face and the other was prepared to send him flying with her gentle fist style. The two moved away from each other smiling. The people who had gathered to watch were amazed. It had been a while since they had seen a spar as good as this one. And how easily they went back to friends, or in their case, an engaged couple. The next day Naruto and Hinata continued to read through the materials Ranma and his students had put together. The acolyte apprentices had finished making a nice copy of the previous day's note and offered to do the same with today's notes. By dinner time they had finished the rest of the materials, something which made Naruto really happy. They gave their notes to Ranma's students and turned in early so as they were planning on leaving the next day. Ranma's students promised to have their notes done by then. Taruho woke them both again the next day and they packed quickly, Naruto making sure to hide the dirty novels Jiraiya had given him from the monks, as he was sure they would disapprove of them. And after breakfast, they set out and got on the road. Naruto, no shortcuts, were following the directions. Hinata made sure to say this after saying goodbye to the monks who had taken care of them for the past 2 days. Sure thing, Hinata. No shortcuts. Naruto grinned idiotically as he answered his fiancée. They made it back to Konoha quickly. No one challenged them trying to stop them from getting to Konoha. They entered the gates of Konoha and reported into the Hokage. Shizune let them in and Hinata handed Tsunade the nice copy of the notes. Did you encounter any problems during the mission? Tsunade asked as she skimmed them. None. Tsunade Bar-chan. Tsunade was tempted to punch Naruto through a wall as she once again heard his nickname for her. Good. Good work on this mission. You're dismissed. Naruto and Hinata bowed respectfully and left. Hinata, I'll walk you home. Hinata took his hand and walked at his speed. He left her at the gates, where she was met by her father. I see your mission went well. Your wedding kimono is almost ready. But the seamstress would like to take some final measurements before she finally finishes it. Soon we need to meet up Naruto and his family as to plan the details of the wedding. Hinata's heart suddenly jumped. I understand. Perhaps soon we should invite him over for some tea. Hiashi agreed with plan his daughter had come up with. Horyu had been in the shinobi prison for over 2 years now. Every day she did as she was told. Her spirit and mind were not here. They were in the insane asylum with her master, Shinku Tebenasu. He hadn't changed at all. He was still mentally gone and under strict supervision, his chakra off. At first she had had a horrible time here. But she had adjusted. Listening to the rumors of Konoha that drifted to the prison helped her slowly regain herself. One evening, while in line for dinner, she heard a rumor that made her angry. She listened to the two inmates' conversation. Yeah, it's true. The Kyuubi brat is going to get married soon. To Hinata Hyuga. The Kyuubi brat's half-sister tried to kill the fiancé because of some prophecy apparently. Wasn't her name Kana or something? The first inmate nodded. I heard Kana's under supervision of 2 Anbu for it. They're both fine though. The Kyuubi took the hit meant for the Hyuga girl. Horyu Hanone grew angry. What right did the Kyuubi have to be happy while she wasted away here in the shinobi prison and her master going even crazier in the insane asylum? Move along. The cook yelled at Horyu, making her snap out of her daydream. Shut up already. I'm moving. Horyu snapped as she took her food and moved along and sat down at her usual table, still seething. She had to get out of here. Horyu had to correct this injustice. And she would. The call went up for the prisoners to get back to work. Horyu went along with the other prisoners and didn't cause any problems that night as they were escorted to their cells for the night. Horyu pretended to sleep. Around midnight she got up and hid in the shadows of her door after making it look like she was still asleep on her bed. Anbu patrolled the corridors at night, occasionally rapping on the cell door bars. That night when alone Anbu passed by close to her cell door, she tripped him. Right before he called out or hit the ground, she reached out through the bars and caught his head with one hand while moving the other hand over his mouth. Shush. She knocked the man unconscious and found the keys to her cell. Unlocking the door quietly, she sneaked out, grabbing the ANBU's shinobi gear. Hey, take us with you. Some of the prisoners tried to get her to let him out. Come on. Don't you have a heart? Sorry. I'm on a mission. I don't need wait. The prisoners grew angry. Prisoner escape. They yelled at the top of their lungs. As expected, the Anbu members in the air came running in order to investigate the disturbance. They saw her out of her cell and their unconscious comrade on the floor. One hit the alarm, causing a loud siren to sound throughout the prison complex. The rest gave chase. Crap. Horyu ran, bare feet the concrete floor noisily. She skidded around the corner, seeing only a glass window ahead of her, the rest of the hallway being end. Horyu steeled herself for the inevitable crash. She was on the second floor. Without sparing any room in her mind for doubt, she jumped through the window, barely fitting through. She rolled into the fall, ending up on her feet. Anbu swarmed out of the building as the spotlights turned on. Many of the prisoners were doing their best to see who was trying to escape through the tiny windows. Anbu caught up and surrounded her. She simply knocked them unconscious and moved on. With a burst of speed thanks to taijutsu, she managed to make it outside before the gates shut. She was free. Now to get on with her mission. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.